Domingo cut some papaya and held the large blade up to Gisella's mouth, pressing a little slice on her lips. With skepticism, she arched her eyebrows at him. "What if you cut me?" "I won't." Gisella looked from the fruit slice to his large, earnest eyes. "By mistake." He looked like he'd burst. "I won't make a mistake, not with you." She opened her mouth. As he began to feed her, his words danced around in her head. "I won't make a mistake, not with you." Her stomach erupted with butterflies. He fed Gisella another slice, pinning her with an inquisitive stare. "You're starting to like me." Her eyes glazed over with desire. "Maybe." She anticipated his touch, feeling a soft pulsing ache between her legs. She thought of their seamless bodies creating beautiful friction. He sliced another piece of papaya. "The truth is in your eyes." She blushed, turning her head slightly away from him. That evening, as she cleared the table, he patted her bottom on her way to the sink. Gisella turned, still too bashful to take him in fully and demand more. Gisella couldn't believe the effect one person could have on another, both scattering and grounding. Domingo came up behind her, buried his face in her hair, inhaled her scent, and cupped the fullness of her bum. She didn't recoil, didn't squirm, didn't freeze with fear. She turned and slowly lifted her eyes to reach his. He took hold of her hips, pressing their bodies together. Her thighs clenched. Instead of running, Gisella tried an invitation. "Is this because we're married?" he asked, voice strangled as he towered over her. Gisella couldn't concentrate with his hands gripping her. "Is it?" he asked, using his hands to tip her chin up. She slowly shook her head as desire pooled in her eyes. His nearness sent flames through her body. Just like that, she was ready to lose herself in him. "It's what we both want, isn't it?" His attentive lips brushed against her cheek, then down her neck, and she melted into him, ready to be consumed. She heard her breath rattle as she placed a hand on his chest. "More." Gisella could hardly believe the voice was hers, and she meant it more than she'd ever meant anything. He pulled away, took a shower, and didn't engage her the rest of the evening. When they went to bed that night, she watched him as he read to her. Gisella stared at his chest rising and falling, and she was overcome with this intense desire for him to live forever, for them never to be separated, for the pair of them to never leave their cozy bed. "I'm ready," she announced while he ground his teeth, trying to hold his resolve. "I'm ready," she repeated so there would be no mistaking her meaning. "Are you sure?" Domingo asked, and she pulled her hand soon negligee to her waist, exposing her bare breasts. Gisella wanted him to know that the time for patience and understanding was over. She wanted him now. Gisella drew him to her. "Teach me." His lips touched hers while he ran his hands over her body, making her lightheaded with need. He climbed on top of her, nipping and kissing. Resting both arms on either side of her head, Domingo gazed into her eyes. "You're magnificent." They stayed like that a long time, drinking each other in. Gisella didn't take her eyes off him. She didn't want to, finding trust and love in his locked gaze. All her nerves dissolved, unwilling to wait another second to experience everything with him. She knew how to be with this man, and he knew how to be with her. "You're safe with me," Gisella told him before they started brushing up against each other, all pent-up emotion and hallucinogenic desire. "Nice?" he asked, a new level of concentration shading his features. Desire pricked at her skin. "Very nice." Domingo took off his clothes, and her eyes silently drank in his muscled arms, chest hair, and glistening abdomen. Ecstasy began to ripple through her. Seconds later, he peeled off her soaked panties. "Domingo," she whispered his name slowly just before he nudged her thighs open and entered her. Gisella stopped breathing for a second. It felt a bit weird. The feel of him, the weight of him, the warmth of him, almost too many overpowering sensations. She went from staring at the creases on his forehead to closing her eyes as her heart started to pick up pace matching his rhythm. She bit down on his shoulder to stifle a scream. "Are you okay?" He checked in with her again. She released a whisper of a moan. "I'll go slower," he said, breathing hard. Gisella looked down at the tip of Domingo's thick dick moving in and out of her. Slowly, very slowly, then the entire length of him. Slowly, very slowly. She felt feverish. Then faster, harder, deeper, with increasing abandon. She informed him, "I'm sliding." The room felt like it was spinning. Somehow, her head was propped up against the wall, while her body was on the bed, with one arm dangling off the side of the mattress. How did we manage this? She wanted to laugh and cry and remain warm and secure beneath his body. Excitement was all he said, with those desirous eyes sending chills down her spine. He still pumped lightly as they spoke, and his sweat fell onto Gisella's collarbone. When he paused, waiting for Gisella to reposition herself, she saw droplets of blood and sweat trickling down her thighs. "The fishnet," she finally cried out. She met his eyes with her tearful ones. "Don't stop." When he picked up speed, his breath was so hot that Gisella thought it would melt her face, and his skin was so slick with sweat that she just turned into his neck, which smelt like soap and anise seed. "My God, Gisella," he breathed, and she closed her eyes when he said her name. He shuddered against her. Gisella got the liquid,